So, my name is Graeme Pratt. I'm VP of Product at Linnworks. I oversee the listings product line as well as our IMS, WMS product lines, and also our wider ecosystem, channel connectivity, etc. product lines. So, to get started, let's start a little bit about, and I think I love the way how Richard Lim in the previous session kind of visualized this for us with his grandmother and his niece, and the differences between the behaviors and the changes of the journeys that users and shoppers take these days when trying to find the products they want to buy. And it's changing. It's ever changing. 73% of customer research products multiple times across multiple mediums before they actually make a purchase. Customers now expect to be able to engage with you guys on all these different channels, whether it be on your own website, whether it be on marketplaces, whether it be on social, whether it be review sites, variety of piece. You need to be there and be where your shoppers are to get their attention. That hopefully leads to you guys getting the end output of that, which is obviously the purchase. Like I said, they visit several digital channels, review sites, marketplaces, brand website. And like Richard said earlier on, people still go in store as well to try and find, to touch it, especially depending on the product, the value of the product, the importance of the product to them. Our data shows that 60% of retailers are already selling on 4 or more marketplaces. I think this number just highlights just how prevalent multi-channel listing is, but it also shows, and it just amplifies the effort it takes to do that. I'm sure all you can probably agree that it takes a huge amount of effort to list on one channel, never mind 3, 4 or 5, because you have to cater your content at times for the channel, for the medium that you're looking to sell on. And with that, obviously, becomes risk. Risk of the content's not right, losing sales. How can I ensure that the stock quantities and levels are accurate across all these channels? You don't want to oversell. If you oversell and make a promise to a customer you can't deliver on, that will impact your company, your brand significantly. So the need for a tool to help you do that becomes more and more prevalent, especially the more channels, the more products you list, etc. So, I don't know if you've heard about it. There's this little thing called AI. It's floating about these days. You don't hear about it that much, do you? But it is changing. It is changing everything we do, across everything we do in our daily lives. But even more so, it is changing how shoppers search. And because of that, how you guys try and get seen in that world becomes more and more important as well. And that's where your content comes in. The level of content that you put into your listings, all that content is what feeding the AI engines. They're learning from that content to then try and get you up in those higher listings in that piece. So a few examples of that, for instance. Natural language and conversational search. Previously, when users searched for a product, they would go in and maybe say, okay, black running shoes, male, size 11. You can see I do a lot of running, obviously, but I thought it was a decent example there. Whereas now, when you search, and with natural language queries, you can actually search for, I need a comfortable pair of running shoes that allows me to run trails in the rain. That completely changes how you think about your content, how you think about how am I going to represent this product. And it's not even in terms of how you represent that in the listing itself. You're now actually having to think about how can that content be surfaced through the search engines, through the AI bots, so you get found, and you get found for that side of things. Visual search. Take a photo, and they'll come back with the products right away. My wife uses that all the time. It's why we always get so many Amazon boxes in daily. But you take a picture of it and it's so easy these days. Whereas before you had to search and route and try and find this thing. Take a picture and it'll go off. So it's not only content, it's not even the written word that you need to think about. It's your image, your quality of imagery to try and really stand out from the crowd when it comes to that side of things. And finally, probably the hardest thing at all really is personalized recommendations. How can you cater for that? How can you cater for what's personal to me? You don't know that. But what we can tell is that the AI tools utilize things like the browsing history, the demographics, the time of day and the weather. That is the sort of thing you can try and adhere to. If your product is related to warm weather in the summertime, and you know it's probably for a younger age group, you can write content associated with that product that meets those needs. So again, you always have to be thinking. So, that was more my Steve Martin-esque Saturday Night Live monologue to get us going. Now into the agenda. So this is going to be quite interactive, so get ready to put your hands up a lot. I've got a few questions for you guys through it, so we're going to start off with a few of those. Then we're going to talk about a few of the key challenges about expanding onto channels. We're going to talk about listing your products, thing to think about there. And then finally, we'll get into where Linnworks can help you with that. And I'm also going to touch a little bit about what we've done recently when it comes to listings, what we're doing now, and then a few of the ideas of what we're doing next. And I'd love to get your guys' feedback on some of those ideas for next, see if they excite you, if you're interested in them, etc. So, first question. How many of you today and how many unique channels do you guys sell on today? So let's start. Hands up. Who only sells maybe 1 or 2 channels today? Okay. A few are just starting off in 1 or 2. 3 to 5? Cool. 6 to 9? 10 plus? Wow, so we've got quite a lot of you on, quite a number of channels. So already I can see the strain in your faces of all the work you have to do if you listed on all those channels. So I've forgotten already the number of hands in each one, but in the State of Commerce Ops report that you've heard a lot over the last 2 days that we put together and published at the start of the year, we surveyed 200 retailers for that, and the average number of marketplaces per business came out about 4.31. So again, kind of touching the tool there. 72% though have a presence between 2 and 5, with the largest number of selling 3 platforms, followed closely, like I say, by 4. Again, there's a QR code on the screen there. If you scan that, you'll be able to get access to that report. It's got a lot more information on it, and I would certainly recommend doing that. I can see a few people go in their pockets, so I'll wait until I go to the next slide, until I use to scan that code. Cool. I think we're good. I think the code's later on as well. We promote this a few times. So, obviously we've talked about how many channels you might already be on. How many of you are actually looking to expand further? So, if just like how many of you are a yes, but actually more just in the UK, more locally, more regionally, you want to try and expand further too? Okay, so a few hands up there. How many people, yes, I want to expand, but actually international expansion is where I'm most interested in? Wow, okay. Most of the hands going up there is for that. And how many of you are just not right now? I've got too much on at the moment. I'm just wanting to focus on where I'm strong at the moment. No one. Okay. Cool. So, thank you for that. I'm going to be just as annoying throughout this session. There's lots more of those coming, by the way. But let's start on challenges of expanding your reach, because there are a number of them. So again, in the recent State of Commerce Ops reports, and I think it's been mentioned a few times over the last couple of days, 43% of respondents identified connecting to new marketplaces was their biggest challenge that they face. So what are some of those challenges that we came up against? So we're going to go through here. So this is quite a prevalent one. This is one I've heard a lot. In our UK user group that we ran at the start of the year, this was a huge topic across the room. And basically the gist of what people were telling us was, we want to expand, we definitely want to do that, but there's a few key things. We're time poor. We don't really know where to go, or how do we do it, what's the risk, how do we know where to go, where do we start? Those are some of the key pieces. People are just like, okay, I need help, I need guidance, excuse me, of where we want to go. Again, should we be relying on only 1 or 2 channels? Is that a risk? Or should we diversify now? So really that is, do you double down on where you're strong and focus on and try and go further there? Or should you be an early adopter? Should you try that out? Again, that's been a huge discussion over the last couple of days. Experimentation, getting going, try something, fail fast in that side of things. How do we guarantee it'll be worth it? We all wish we had a crystal ball. Obviously, we don't know that. Like I say, that is why you need to experiment. That's why you need to ideally fail fast. You need to get that out there. But obviously, it takes a lot of thought. Do you even know what's required to list on that channel to begin with? Is there any unique requirements, information required, specific sort of imagery or video the content you need to have on there? Do you have enough the capacity to take on a new channel? Like I say, it's exponentially gets larger the more channels you get on, especially if those, especially if those channels have very different requirements in terms of the content that's required. And like we just touched on, managing the channels we already have is an operational headache. You've got so many things you have to think about. Obviously, the more channels you have, potentially more listings you have, and again, if it's the unique requirements for each channel, the more content you need to have put in place, the internal cost can be really, really high. This inherently increases the complexity of your ops. And without an efficient solution to manage that, again, like we said at the start of the talk here, that can lead to overselling, inconsistent product information, insufficient order fulfillment, all things that can impact your brand, all things that can impact the confidence customers have in you and your ability to obviously provide them with the products they need. And all that comes, again, this stems from the more listings you have. So, those are some of the challenges we've heard through the report and through customer conversations we've had. What about you guys? So again, we've got a few here. So in terms of challenges you guys have when it comes to expanding your reach from a channels perspective, how many of you would you say have the challenge where it's actually identifying where to expand? All right, okay, we've got a few folks there on that one. Is it time required to expand? How many that's the greatest challenge? Okay, lots of hands for the time. Cost of expansion? Okay, good, that's not as bad. Time's a cost, obviously, as well, but different type. How do you feel like no challenge? It's a breeze. Don't have any challenge expanding at all. Okay, no one. Again, any other things we've not listed there that people have got there? Again, we can talk about them after the session. No, okay. Okay. So we've spoken about some of those challenges. What are some steps that you should consider to maybe start trying to mitigate some of those challenges? So sometimes to move forward, you need to look to the past. You need to reflect. In terms of the channels that you're listing on today, are they working for you? What are the learnings you can take from those? Reflection's a wonderful thing. We're always so keen to move fast, move forward. But like I say, to take 5 steps forward at times, you need to take a step back and think. So again, how are your products selling currently on the existing channels? Are you getting the ROI you're hoping for from those? Again, we've got a couple of wonderful partners out there in terms of Conjura and Watt Sales who can really help you understand that on a SKU and channel base, understanding the true performance of your products on those channels. Could you get a better ROI from your products on a different channel than another, just because of the costs, the footfall, the sales, etc. sort of piece? So you need to analyse that. Are the current listings working well for you? That's a hard one to tell. Obviously, you could assume that, okay, the sales themselves would take that into account for you. But ask your customers for feedback. Look at the data, understand where you can, understand when are people on your listing, but they're not buying, for instance, or they have added the word, they're abandoning the cart. Try and get that data, that information to help inform you, because that will allow you to understand, okay, maybe things aren't working overly there in terms of the listing itself, the content, the message is not getting across. And ultimately, if it is working, what are those successes telling you? Again, it's not always negative. You can learn a lot from the successes also. So again, reflect on where you've been. But how do you know where to expand? There's so many options. You've seen all the slides over the last few days with 50, 60, 100 marketplace logos. Where do you go? How do you know where the best thing is to go there, sort of piece? So there's a number of ways you can do that. Obviously, you can search our app store. That's one way. We get some descriptions of that. There's obviously all the options within that for you. Our channel integrations. But also, like I say, I did a talk yesterday with Conjura, and we made a big point I made at the end is you're not alone in this. Come to us. We're not just a technology provider for you. We're a partner for you guys as well. And we've got so many people across the business that want to help. If we can help you expand, be successful, we're successful. So particularly our partnerships team, they're always willing to help guide you in that sense. They can do introductions for you. Again, we've got a plethora of data, obviously, that can help shape it, where we can say, okay, similar products to you guys sell well on this channel. So again, we can help guide you on that piece. So don't feel that you're alone on that. Ask for help, and we're always willing to give you that help. And again, we've actually got a handy quiz on our website. We're actually asking you a few questions, and it allows you to maybe try and, suggest where your next marketplace should be. So again, if you scan that QR code, that'll take you to that page, fill out the quiz, and see what comes out there for you. Okay, so you've reflected, you've tried to identify where to go, you've kind of identified where you want to go. Okay, how do you expand onto these channels? And again, it's not too dissimilar to what I just said previously. Reach out, ask for help, engage with that channel's team, asking them to help with what are the onboarding requirements, what do I need to do to get on there, specifically from a listing perspective as well. What content do I need? What are the minimum requirements for the products that I list? Try and get all that information, because all that information will help you plan more effectively. Another huge, why we're here today, a lot has been talked about the last couple of days, community. You've got so many different sellers around the room today. Speak to each other as well. Get advice from people who might have already taken the jump and went to Temu or Shein or TikTok Shop. Learn from those guys. What was the effort it took? What was the additional content you had to do, especially for TikTok, obviously from a video perspective and that side of things, get in there sort of piece. Again, we've also got the Linnworks community. If you've not already signed up to that, I would encourage you to do so. That's a great platform to engage with fellow sellers, ask questions, ask for advice. And again, it's a good place. Everyone's willing to help each other from that perspective. And again, speak to our partnership team as well. They can help you, again, connect you with the marketplace if needs be, get you some additional support and help there. Okay, so we know what it's going to take. Okay. The big one, the actual investment to do the stuff. All that before is just prep to understand what you need to do. You actually need to do it now. So again, everything we've just learned before will give you a feel for a plan. Okay, what is it actually going to take to get onto that channel? What is everything I need to prepare to do that? This includes researching the tone of voice and the search criteria for that channel. Every channel is different in that way. How you would advertise on Amazon is very different how you advertise the same product on TikTok. You need different content, there's different demographics use that, it's different tone of voice, etc. Preparing the product information as well. That can take, how are you going to do that? What's the most efficient way to do that? And then not just once you've prepared it, it's ongoing optimization. It's the constant learning. Are you being successful? What changes can you make? So again, up until now, we've just spoken about where do you expand, how do you get onto there, the things to think about sort of piece. What about the listing itself? What is the role of a great listing? So we've got two product examples up there. So again, quick show of hands. Who believes A is the best title for listing on Amazon? A few. B? A few hands for B as well. So the answer we believe is A, and the reason why that is little things. The brand name's in the title, the product name's included. It includes a key feature in terms of thermal car fit, for instance, in there for that one. It's concise, it's good readability, and it avoids any unnecessary buzzwords. So again, that title is ticking so many boxes in terms of not only for search engine optimization, but also in terms of searchability, in terms of the filtering for Amazon as well on that one. Why is B not as good? Again, there's no specific product details in that. There's no important keywords, vague claims, and there's no competitor differentiation. That's just the title. That's just the title that you need to consider there. And already there's all the information you need to think about in there. There's a world of different amounts of information. Now the product that I've listed there, that sells itself. That's the football strip of the greatest football team in the world. But I won't bore you with my love for Scottish football. But you can see the amount of things you need to center, what makes a great listing. Like we just mentioned, a compelling product title, detailed descriptions with the benefits, depending on the products you're selling, accurate product specifications, information, excuse me, high quality imagery, a number of images that represent the product, video content. Again, if you're selling internationally, you've got to think about language and localization in there as well. All those elements you need to consider, and that's for one product. You know, I'm sure many of you sell hundreds, if not thousands, of products that you list. So much to think about there. So how do you keep on top of that? How do you do that? I mean, AI's changed the game as well. So much of this content feeds into that side of things. But ultimately, the more content rich you can make your listings, the higher the performance it will be for you, and you should see far better results off the back of that. However, that brings us to a bit of a dilemma. The speed v quality dilemma. All that content, all that stuff we've just talked about, it takes time. And that time potentially slows down your introduction rate to the market. So in terms of speed or quality, so pros, speed to the market, low initial investment, earlier exposure, ideally with quicker sales opportunities if you just get it up there and get going. The cons of obviously speed rather than quality of it, standing out in a crowded room at the end of the day. If there's 2 or 3 products at one time, you're going to go with the one that you feel has actually got most confidence in, which is the better quality listing with more accurate imagery, etc. Algorithmic bias as well. Like we say, every channel's different. They each have slightly different search algorithms of how they engage. So if you decide to say, actually, okay, no, I'm not going to put some of those optional attribute information in, you could be really hampering your ability to be found on those channels, as well as through natural search, and certainly through the new way of AI searching for products. Being found, like I say. In terms of quality, what are the pros? Like we said, it's the opposite, obviously. Increased discoverability, engaged viewers, you're standing out from the crowd. But you've got far higher effort and investment required to do that, and it's a slower time to market. So, in terms of speed basically equals more exposure, faster testing, and quicker feedback loops. You could argue speed is entirely in line with the fail fast. How can you get up there, see what works, do some optimization, and then take it from there? But a few of the key items here to think of, if you're in that dilemma between speed and quality, think about it. So, are you selling products that are more trending or seasonal products? In that type of market, first mover advantage matters. So really, you might just get up there, try and ride that wave that's going in terms of the trending and the seasonality of the product. If you have a high product turnover or large catalogs, so if you're drop shipping or marketplaces with thousands of SKUs, again, speed's probably going to have to be your priority there, just because of the level of investment to do all the work on all these thousands of SKUs. Again, if your products are in competitive, fast-moving categories, again, you might just want to get up there. Obviously, if you sell a product that maybe isn't unique, and other sellers saying the same product, obviously with Amazon and many other channels, you can just list directly to the catalog, and you're piggybacking off. So again, that's a really good way of speed. Just get your product up there, put the price, and that's when price really does become the differentiator, ultimately, because the content of the product is the same across all sellers. Then that's when price obviously becomes very important in terms of that ability to sell. And then flash sales are anything time sensitive. You want to get it up there, unless you can be very well prepared in advance. Quality. Quality basically equals better conversations, lower returns, strong brand loyalty. So if you're really protective about your brand, and quality is one of the key aspects of your brand itself, you want to ensure that your listings are also of a good quality, because it's counterintuitive not to have one and not have both in that sense. So from a quality perspective, when conversion rate and brand perception matter to you, you probably want to put a bit more time to get your listings of a good quality and right up front, because it reflects on your overall brand, your overall company in that sense. Where your products are complex or they're a really considered purchase for someone. A car. A car is probably one of the second most expensive things you can buy other than a house, usually, right? So, it's not the sort of thing you just jump into, right? You want to research, you want to understand all the features, you want to get the information. So again, customers want to see a good quality listing with good information, good imagery, video, etc., to really help them make their mind up. Excuse me. You're going on marketplaces where the marketplace favors listing quality. And this is where it's very important to engage with the marketplace before you decide. You need to know that up front. Because if you don't know up that front and you decide to throw a listing up there, you're going to be struggling from the start, obviously. So again, that's where it's important to do your research before jumping to the expansion of our channel. Or when you just have limited SKUs and each listing must perform well. Again, if you've got only maybe 10 to 50 products, you have the time to put more time and investment into it, whereas if you've got thousands, not so much. You need to pick and choose. Rather annoyingly, obviously the overall answer is a balanced approach. There's no right or wrong answer here, really, in terms of one or the other. It's got to be balanced, and it's more about how can you counteract some of the more time-consuming things to try and find that balance between speed and quality. So, for instance, how can you automate repetitive parts of the listing creation process? So, using AI to draft titles, descriptions, elements like that. How can you prioritize speed to market for testing, optimize quickly? So how can you get your strategy to get your product up, have the data to learn quickly, learn fast, and then make the changes quickly? Again, that's a really good technique. That's a technique from a product perspective we use quite often. How can we get an MVP up, learn from you guys, and then how can we iterate to improve it? So that's a perfectly good strategy as well. And how can you segment your catalogue? There'll be certain products in your catalogue that you need to put a bit more focus on the quality listings, where other, maybe not as much. Like I say, if it's a product that other people sell, you could just add straight to the catalogue on Amazon and the other marketplaces allow for that. Then it's more about the price. Okay, back to you guys. So, when you guys are listing products, where do you guys sit on the speed v quality position? So hands up, who prioritizes speed to market at the moment? Okay, quite a lot of you. What about quality, perfection from the start? Okay, we've got a good mix there. How many, and just the options up there, how many of it is the balance view, where it depends on the product basically, you make a judgment call. So yeah, we've got a few people in there as well for that one. And I think this might be the final question I ask for you. You are all going to start charging me for your time here. But how many of you have or use a multi-channel listing tool to help you do that listing? So how many people, yes, use a multi-channel listing tool, like a Linnworks or a Rhythm or other tools like that? Okay, a few you've got that. No? Who just lists directly on the channels themselves? Cool. And hybrid. I know a lot of people maybe do use a listing tool for some channels, but in some they go direct. Look at you, Jack. I know you definitely do on that Thorness. Cool. Okay. So we've spoken about all the challenges of where should I list, how do I approach it, how do I do it. We've talked about some of the steps to consider to try and mitigate some of those risks. We've then talked about actually the listing itself, the quality, how to approach doing the listing, etc. So how can Linnworks help you to try and go through that process? Again, I don't need to dwell on this too much because you've heard a lot the last couple of days. A huge focus of Linnworks is our ecosystem, is our partner network. We are at the center of your business, or certainly we hope we are, and we can connect you out to marketplaces, operational solutions, etc. We have a high number of channels ready and waiting for you to start expanding out onto. A lot of those we also have listing support for as well. And again, like I say, reach out, speak to us, understand where, let us help you, kind of direct you in where we think that might help. There might be from time to time, though, maybe channels that are a bit more niche that we might not support, but you guys really want to get into. And we've got solutions for that for you as well. So again, our partner network, there's a few of our dev partners out there. They're ready and waiting to use Linnworks API to build some of these more niche bespoke channel integrations specifically for you. So there's always an option there. There's our services portal as well, where you can go to and say, hey, I want to go and list to, or to channel X, for instance. They'll quote you to obviously what to build that specifically for you as well. And there's also us natively as well. We're looking for more strategic opportunities for further channel for our own native build. Again, there's the use of our suggestions portal or speak to your CSM if there's specific requirements in there, and they'll always be considered. So listings at Linnworks. So listings we have a multi-channel listing tool. Diana mentioned it earlier on. It's one of our own standalone product lines. And again, we have support for about 40 individual channels, but one of those is Miracle, which obviously offers a wide range of marketplaces. So probably well over 100 in terms of actual marketplace connectivity, and that's with listing support already. And we're quite proud of this, really. Like I say, we've got 16 million products that are currently listed across our customer base through our listing solution. And like I mentioned, there's 40 distinct channels, but again, in terms of marketplaces, that's well over 100 when you include some of the aggregators that we support there as well. So, I think we feel those numbers speak for themselves, that, we've got a solution and a tool that, can really, really help in that regard for you to kind of take some of that weight off and that management process that we spoke about earlier on today. So what are some of the key benefits of listing through Linnworks and the Linnworks listing tool? So increased efficiency. Again, you don't have to go back and forward to the channels individually. You can manage it all within the one solution. In that sense, a unified view also in terms of all your products, your different channels in that sense. You can expand presence across more channels directly from within Linnworks. And the single management interface all brings it into one place for you. So, we're going to go into some specific examples here for you. This is not going to be a full demo, because I'm not stupid. I'm not going to do any live demos today, but we do have some very talented guys out in the hall there who can give you a more deeper dive demo into our listing solutions if required. Or if you're an existing customer who's just maybe got some specific challenges about listings, please grab me after the talk and we can have a chat about it, or head up to the Genius Bar and some of our guys will be able to maybe try and help you some specific questions. But we talked earlier on about a huge part of the listing process is the actual information preparation. All the individual attributes for the channels that you need to cater for, how do you get all that information in? How do you all link it to the product? So in Linnworks, and I apologize, this is not the clearest slide, but we use extended properties for that, where against a product, you can create a lot of bespoke extended information properties against that product. So you can create these extended properties. So if you understand, okay, at eBay require these 10 attributes. You would create each of these 10 attributes in Linnworks, and you'd be able to put the associated values against that product. You can also do that from a translation perspective as well. We also have the ability to do that in bulk, for instance, also through imports in that sense as well. So it's not just through the interface. And I'll talk a little bit later on about some of the things we're going to be trying to do to really help improve that process as well. So that's your product information. Again, when you create a configurator in Linnworks for a particular category, for a particular channel, again, there's the attribute mapping element. So we provide you with an interface where you can actually understand what are all the attributes this channel for this particular product category allows to be populated, but we also clearly explain to you, okay, these are the required ones. These are the must-have ones. You have to have the information in there or your listing will be rejected. But we also have a number of optional ones. And these optional ones can easily be forgotten, but they're very, very important, especially with what we spoke about earlier on today in terms of how can we improve that discoverability, that searchability. How can we ensure that we're getting seen by the AI agents, AI bots these days, where people search. All that the more information, the better when it comes to that side of things. But like I say, that comes at a cost. And then, obviously, against that listing, we try to be as transparent and clear as possible in terms of all the products that you're wanting to list against that particular channel's category. We list them all out for you. We've got all the information there, and we try to give you a clear status, obviously, in terms of, okay, what's been listed, what's not been listed, where are there errors, because there will always be errors. And again, that's something I'll mention again in a moment. But again, we try and give you that transparent one view where you can actually see exactly where to go, and obviously provide a direct link right out to that channel listing as well, so you can always check to make sure the changes are being applied correctly on the channel or not. So, that stuff has been there for a while. That's just the core part of the Linnworks listing tool. But what I want to speak to you now about is some of the new things that we've done over the last couple of months. I think it'd be fair to say that from a Linnworks listing solution, for a number of years, it probably didn't get any significant investment too much, other than essential maintenance, upgrades, etc. At the tail end of last year, we made the decision, no, we're going to actually put investment into our listing solution to significantly improve it. Diana mentioned it earlier on. We're focusing on how can we make the listing process for you guys as efficient as possible. We've already spoken about it today, the time-consuming nature of it. You want to expand, we want you to expand. What puts you off expanding is the effort and the cost of doing it. So what can we do to help you try and reduce that effort, reduce that time to list, so you guys can focus on expanding elsewhere rather than just doing all the work to try and get expanded where you are. Everything we're doing at the moment is with that in mind. How can we make you more efficient? So one thing that we've done, again, a lot of these we hope are going to bring these small wins. All these small wins from an efficient perspective should add up to start really saving you guys time. So auto-map attributes, again, apologies, I know you can't see that very well. Auto-map attributes. So a couple of slides ago, I showed, we had a slide where if we've got all the product information for extended properties, you have to map those against the attributes. You need to say which attribute, which value, which extended property value should map to that. What we've now provided the ability to do is a one-click button that if the extended property name matches the attribute name in the channel, you click that button, it'll auto-map it for you. So it'll save a lot of time there in terms of having to go through each one and auto-map that across the floor. So that's one feature. Again, is it going to save you days? No, but it's going to save you blocks of time when you're doing a number of listings across a number of categories that you need to set up. All these times add up to be hours worth of savings for someone on a daily basis, which in business is huge. Okay, that's the same slide, but there's a few transitions here. So what have we also done? We've tried to make the process of getting the products and the product information and it all mapped quicker as well. And the route we've taken on that initially is to actually try and provide you with more template-based solution. So you can see up the top there, between auto attributes, we've got download attributes there. You click that and we've got a couple of options for you. One of those options is actually, see, for this configurator and for this category, can you just give me a spreadsheet of all the attributes available for this category in this channel? And probably more importantly, what are all the accepted values for that attribute if there are predefined values? That is something that we had feedback from customers already in terms of it's very hard to understand that, hard to find that. So we put that in place. Ultimately, what that will do for you is just generate you a file where it will give you every attribute that that particular category requires. And as you can see, for the ones which have predefined values for that channel, we list them all for you. So obviously that puts it all in one place as a quick scan rather than having to go and search and find back and forward on that. So again, small efficiency wins that all add up to saving you really, like I say, hours a day on when you're doing the listing process. Likewise, the other option we have put in place again is, okay, you obviously add a product to your configurator for a category. I mean, you could have thousands. Some customers have thousands of products associated with a particular category they want to list. Imagine having to go for each of the ones individually to add and map and add all the information. Take a huge amount of time. So what we provided the ability to do is actually okay, for this category, for this configurator, can you just give me a spreadsheet with all the products associated currently with this channel, with all the sort of attribute values required? And again, what that will do for you is generate you a file with each of your SKUs, each of the attributes that you've linked that needs information, and you can go through that spreadsheet and just add the values in the spreadsheet, and then you can go back into Linnworks and just bulk import. So again, hopefully that we believe that will save a lot of time in terms of that initial configuration setup process, and should hopefully also allow, when you do click that publish button, your higher chance of getting a success rate back. So you don't have if you have missing attributes, that's one of the key areas of why you get errors back, because you haven't provided them with the information they require, or you've provided them with one of the wrong values for a particular attribute. It's very complicated in that sense. So those are some of the key areas. Like I say, after the session, I'm happy to, I can get my laptop out and I can show you those in more detail for you out there, or we can discuss them further in general. But those are just a couple of the features that we've been working over the last couple of weeks. Again, hopefully you can see through that, all focused about trying to make you guys more efficient in terms of the listing process, save you time and ultimately money. Okay, so what's now and next for Linnworks listings? So what we're working on now. So like I mentioned, our primary focus is purely on efficiency. How can we reduce the effort to list? How can we ensure that the percentage success rate of you publishing listings is as high as it can be? Diana mentioned earlier on, like 96%. Obviously, is when we want to get that as high as we can. How can we get that as close to 100% for you? Because one key problem that we often hear is you build information and you click list, error. Okay, I'll go and fix that error. Publish, error. Again, how can we try and help that back and forward? You're always going to get errors when you do listings because it's hard and because of the way the channels just work in that sense. But how can we minimize that impact for you? So, obviously, a couple of the features that we've been working on most recently, I've already mentioned, the SKU attribute export import, the attribute auto mapping. One thing the team are working on right now, and Diana mentioned one of the specifics, is in terms of the error validation, better error handling, error management, error visibility. I never thought I'd hear myself get excited about error management and handling, but when it comes to saving time and making you more efficient, it is exciting for us, because that's what we want to try and achieve for you guys. Ultimately, that's, again, errors will happen, but how can we make the errors as transparent and as clear as possible for y'all, so that when you do fix those errors, the chances of you getting a successful publish, when you click publish, is high. We don't want you having to go try error, again, error. We don't want that. That dissipates time, and it takes the listing process from what could hopefully be half an hour to an hour to hours, if not days, when it comes to that. So that's a specific area that we're looking at there. So we're looking at that on a per channel basis. One of the really exciting ones the guys have put together is actually an instant validation on the most common errors for eBay. That's what Diana alluded to earlier on in the chat. The team are working with recently released that there. And that has already caught hundreds of thousands of errors already, and is giving customers an instant playback on, okay, we can tell you right now this is going to error from eBay because you've got these errors. So again, rather than you having to wait half an hour for eBay to come back and say there's errors, we're telling you instantly. So again, adds up. Rather than having to wait hours, you're getting that feedback in seconds, which means you can then rectify it instantly, publish, and all going well, successful listing. So again, reducing that time to list on that front. So that's what we're working on now, and we're doing a number of pieces there. Again, we are actively trying to engage with customers. Diana obviously put the QR codes up earlier on in terms of people who'd be willing to work with us in terms of trying new features out, speaking to us about features we're thinking about developing, etc. What I will say is the features we just talked about there, they need to be unlocked. So they're all behind kind of what we're kind of calling listings V2 unlock, basically. Again, if you want to find out more about that, come and speak to me afterwards, or go and speak to one of the CSMs or the account management team. Okay, so that's what we're working on now. So hopefully, I hope you can see it's all focused on that efficiency piece. So what's next? So in terms of what's next, it's still fully focused on efficiency. How can we reduce the amount of effort to list for you? Like I say, that's our most important goal for us at the moment, and that's what we want to achieve. But before, we've been focused more on the initial configuration, setup of listings. How can we reduce that for you? How can we make that as less tedious as possible? Where we're thinking of going next is round about the product information prep. What can we do there to really help in terms of reduce the speed of that and hopefully provide you with a facility that helps you in terms of the curation of that content and the quality of that content as well. So again, Diana alluded to earlier on that AI is a front and center for us at the moment. How can we utilize AI more to help you guys be more efficient, get better quality listings? So what we're starting to look at is AI-powered product information prep. So for instance, when you create a product on Linnworks, you would be able to say, okay, go and get me the product information for this product on eBay, for instance. What we want to do is to auto-detect the category that product should belong to, ideally, on eBay. And because we have the category, we're then able to understand what the attributes are that are all required. Okay, so can we pre-populate suggested information for each of those attributes for you automatically as well? Can we create you a pre-generated product description that we feel is already very well optimized and ready to go that will get you attention on eBay and perform well for you? Same with title as well on that piece. So all that information coming back. Having that, what that allows us to start doing will then also start to help us improve that efficiency piece from a setup and a management perspective as well. So like I say, auto-categorization of products. Auto-creation of the extended properties we spoke about earlier on. The pre-population of the information within those earlier on as well. The auto-mapping of the extended properties to the values. And the auto-creation of the configurators, or if a category already exists in the configurator setup, hey, do you just want to add this product automatically to that particular category? So we're quite excited about this. These are early days. They're still very conceptual. You know, we want to get your guys' feedback, obviously, about whether or not those sort of movements in our listing space is desirable to you. Does it sound good? Would you trust it as well, right? You know, because obviously you can go to ChatGPT, it'll generate you any form of content today. You want to review it though, you're not just going to trust it right away. So there's a trust element here as well, which we're very keen to understand from you all, whether or not you would trust that. But hopefully you can see that's where we're starting to think about, that's where we're going. And ultimately when we get to this stage, it's not actually just about efficiency and time. And we do believe that that'll take your time from here to here, by doing a lot of this sort of work, but hopefully the quality will help you as well. And it'll actually set yourself up for success on the channels, make you easier to be found, whether it be on the channel itself, through search engine, or through AI bots and tools also. So yeah, that's it from me today. Again, I would love to speak to as many as I can out over lunch to get your feedback. If you are using the Linnworks listing tool today, I'd love to hear your feedback on that. If you want to talk to me a wee bit more about what we're doing now or what we're going next, yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, thank you for today. Appreciate your time. And have a nice rest of your day.